the University of Michigan made a very smart move. I'm Jason Heath. This is Contrabass Conversations, and we are chatting today with Max Dimoff and Ranaan Meyer. These are two people that are, in my opinion, rock stars of the double bass. They've been on the podcast in multiple capacities several times over the years. Max, you probably know as the principal bassist of the Cleveland Orchestra, longtime principal bassist at this point. What a talent, what a great mind, and he has been featured extensively. We interviewed him back in the day, but also I used several quotes and passages for my Winning the Audition book last year and for several highlight episodes about practicing and technique and that kind of good stuff. Ranaan Meyer, you probably know through his work with the groundbreaking trio, Time for Three. Ranaan and I have been friends for over a decade at this point. I got the chance to not only interview him way back in the day, but earlier this year in 2017, sit down with him at a concert that Time for Three was playing out here in California, and we did a quick chat. It was one of those totally inspiring conversations that I think of when I think of Ranaan. And to have these two guys together teaching at the same school, oh man, is that exciting. So we're chatting with both Ranaan and Max about how this is all working at the University of Michigan. This is a special Contrabass Conversations episode, and we have links for you to check out more about what they're up to. Here we go with our conversation with Ranaan and Max. How's the whole team teaching thing going to work for you guys at Michigan?
I'm here every week. I'm not leaving the Cleveland Orchestra, so I live a little under 3 hours away, so I drive back and forth quite a bit. And I actually took an apartment in Ann Arbor, too, so that so I can be here. I've been here the last 2 weeks solid. When the Cleveland Orchestra travels, we're going on the road in October. Then we're going to make sure that Ranaan can make it out during that time so that the students aren't, left hanging out to dry.
In terms of the team teaching thing, I think that's such a great way to as a student, to experience different perspectives. And I know, Ranaan, you had that at Curtis. What do you guys like about the team teaching model?
I missed it at Curtis, unfortunately.
Oh, did you?
Edgar came in the year after I had left, and I was really disappointed about that. I was working with Hal for 4 years, and I always wanted Edgar to come for a master class, but I even missed him for a master class at Curtis. And so then my last lesson, Hal told me Edgar's going to come to teach with him, and I told Hal, I said, "You got to be kidding me, man! This is not cool." I really wish that I had gotten to experience both of them at the same time. Of course, I love studying with Hal, and I got so much out of that. And I just thought that was one of the coolest things I had ever heard, that two great teachers were going to work together in the same studio. And, I was able to start Bass Institute with Hal Robinson and Eric Larson. And the three of us decided that the motto would be sharing the knowledge. And there's a lot more to that, and probably too much to it to just really unpack it in one interview. But the idea is that we would all work together, sharing the knowledge together to learn from one another and benefit. And as I was growing up, a lot of my teachers were very open with me taking lessons outside of my genre. Like when I was studying classical, I would go take jazz lessons. I remember taking classical lessons with Douglas Mapp and Neil Courtney in high school, while then going to New York and North Jersey, taking lessons with Mike Richmond and Ty Coleman and Rufus Reed, and coming back and sharing my experience with those teachers, and them really being interested about it, and vice versa. So it was always like a very open thing, and I felt like I benefited a lot from that. But never was I in a program where I had two teachers simultaneously working together. And I always thought that would be a really cool thing. Well, when I was, starting to tour with Time for Three, I was working with Tim Dillenschneider down at Baltimore Symphony, and he was just too much fun, and there was too much joy working with him to like give up that opportunity to working and having lessons with him. And so I teamed up. It was the three of us actually. Tim Ressler, who's a great teacher. Who I don't think he's playing the bass much these days. I think he went into another career, but he was a really great bassist. He taught. He worked at Curtis as a student, and Tim Ressler, Tim Dillenschneider, and I all decided to team up and work together. So there were two teachers that were working with Tim for, I think, a year or two. And it just seemed to benefit everybody. You know, everybody was winning because we were all learning from one another. So it's been something that's really, really been present in my life for a long time. And when the Michigan opportunity came up, it was just really great for, and Max is going to, I'm sure, have a lot to say on it, but for the two of us to talk about how we would work together to work with all the students, and everybody could just benefit. And we could celebrate our differences as players, as teachers, while really becoming more refined bass players all together and learning from one another. And so that's pretty much where the premise comes from. Max, I'm curious what you would add to all that.
Well, I just think it's fantastic when different perspectives. Certainly, our playing careers have taken different paths, but there's a lot of similarities too. I've played a lot of different types of music, throughout the years. Although obviously, I've been focused on orchestral music for a long time now. But when those differences and different perspectives, I find so often they meet the same goal at the end. And that's when it works its best. And that's certainly the first week that Ranaan was here last week. We were here together, which won't be the case all the time. But we played a recital together, and for all of our differences, it meshes. And I think that's the most exciting thing for me is when two teachers in this type of situation that can complement each other. And rather than do it my way, do it this way, and when there are differences, I really enjoy discussing those differences and seeing where each one is coming from, because there are so many different ways to do any one thing.
What do you like about the school, the town, the faculty, the community? I know it's early days, but what are you enjoying about that environment so far?
I found the faculty and the administration and everybody at the University of Michigan to be so supportive. They want the very best, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, to make that possible for us to be the best we can be. And the level of support here is fantastic. The students are outstanding. It's just an excellent music school all around. It's a high level of faculty, high level of students. And everybody, it's really a great place.
And there's a place for everyone. To think about some of the students. Jacob Warren is just this fabulous young up and coming bass player he's so intelligent. He's so on top of his game, and he's a little more alternative style, kind of like I am. But on the other hand, Max, help me out with Cindy's last name.
Oh, Cindy's in.
Yeah, Cindy's in. Who's just like this really refined orchestral player, and she's showing up with her, to master class with her, with entire list memorized and presenting herself in very high level way, and she's on the cusp of having major success with jobs, and there's Max and I giving advice, mentoring to both of these incredible players. Benefiting them in all sorts of different ways. So it's not to say that one style would study with Max, one style would work with me. It's just not about that. We're all working together, and it's the bass. And so with that, it's just all about figuring it out. Very, very, very collaborative and exciting because of that. Max and I have gotten a lot of questions about how it works logistically. As Max said, he's there week in, week out, except for maybe, a tour here and there. And I come in 3 times a semester, 6 times a year, roughly, for about 3 days at a time. And, so there's a presence felt there. But, that way I guess people can just understand sort of the specifics of how this works on a logistical level. And, I plan to be there for the long haul. There's been a bit of a turnaround in Michigan as far as the bass professors, but that ship has sailed, and this is really about sort of a devotion and a love project, about really making, Michigan even a more dynamic bass program. And so we're very much devoted to that and excited to see what happens with that. I also want to encourage people to feel free to reach out to Max and I about any questions they have, for parents listening, students listening, anyone who's probably knowing about this incredible platform that you have, Jason, is probably somehow connected to the bass. So just want people to feel free to connect with us. The only agenda we have is wanting the bass world to be even better than it already is. And most importantly, for everybody listening, that they're going to have opportunities to accelerate their bass career and take stepping stones towards elevating whatever they want to do in their lives with the double bass. So, if Max and I can help in any way, and Michigan can be that place, then great. But ultimately, it's just so important for whoever is listening to find their own way.
All right, there you go. Sounds like a great place, right? Check out Michigan. Michigan's been a great school for a long time with a legacy of great bass teachers. Diana Gannett was on faculty for quite some time, retired recently. Scott Pingle of the San Francisco Symphony came out and taught for a bit there. And now we've got Max and Ranaan, and they are in it for the long haul. You heard that from these guys. What a great set of players with an amazing track record of inspiring and educating the next generation of bass players. I couldn't be more thrilled. And really the first college post that Ranaan's had in a regular form for quite some time. So super cool, very exciting. Check out the links in the show notes for this. And if you haven't checked out any of my interviews or features on Max or Ranaan before, those are also linked up in the show notes. That's going to do it for this special episode of Contrabass Conversations, and we will see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.